Hi everyone, welcome back to the Embrace Home Loans Bring It Home Studios. This is Ted Schirm. I have a special guest today, Sonja Chartowich. She is a realtor with eXp Realty, part of the Align team, but she's also a licensed appraiser, able to give us some information on that. Sonja is one of the best realtors in the area, so it's great that you sit here and listen to us talk.
Thanks for having me, Ted.
My pleasure. Now, Sonja, let's just start off by saying, how would you describe the market right now from a buyer's perspective?
From a buyer's perspective, they're facing a whole bunch of struggles and problems with appraisals, inspections, lack of inventory, interest rates. So it is a seller's market, and I'm here to help.
So what do you think the biggest hurdle that a buyer has right now for getting a new home, getting an offer accepted?
For getting an offer accepted, it is actually meeting all of the seller's demands right now. And that includes appraisal waivers.
Doing an appraisal waiver. Okay. Now, why are appraisals right now getting tricky? I mean, with your expertise as being an appraiser as well as a realtor, what's the biggest problem with the way this market is moving right now?
The way the market moves right now with the appreciating values, it's hard as an appraiser to find comps, one, with the lack of inventory, and two, it's all based on historical data. So we can only use comps that have closed. We definitely have to be forward thinking. We have to contact our agents in order to verify closed sales prices so we can make the proper adjustments for market conditions.
So what you're saying is the biggest problem is the market is just moving so fast. It makes an appraiser's job that much more difficult because there could be market changing contracts that haven't closed yet and they can't use them. So it's
correct. We can use them as long as you have some closed sales, you can use an active or a pending sale if you verify that and note that in your report that you verified it with the agent.
Okay. Now, talking with appraisals, I mean, the appraisal contingency when you're placing an offer, what exactly is that, and why is it so important that the way that a buyer is going to present something to a seller?
That's important because the seller wants the most money most of the time. So they can get an offer that's out of this world, but if that buyer's getting a mortgage and they don't have an appraisal waiver or appraisal contingency, appraisal gap coverage, then that number that they're getting means nothing. So having something that will bridge that gap to ensure that the seller gets that number is crucial.
Okay. So it's really important if somebody is with their offer and they're looking to be aggressive, is actually waiving an appraisal contingency.
I would say yes, or at least providing some kind of gap coverage.
What would you mean by gap coverage?
So with gap coverage, if you're offering $950 on a house and the appraisal only comes in at $925, you can put in your offer that you're offering maybe $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 gap coverage. So that way the seller knows in the back of their mind, if it comes in low, I still have the cash to cover the difference up to the purchase price.
But I think that one of the most important things is having something where a lender has an appraisal waiver program.
Yes,
and
that is crucial for the buyer. That ensures that the buyer actually doesn't have to come out of pocket for anything.
And as you know, we've done several transactions together where we've utilized our appraisal waiver program. What we're doing is we're guaranteeing that if a property does underappraise, that the buyer's down payment, closing costs, monthly payment, interest rate doesn't change. And what's important is we actually give them a certificate that when you present an offer, it goes over, it goes there and the sellers have a little more confidence. But let's have you put on a listing agent's hat right now. How important is something like that when you're getting an offer? You're not only considering what the highest bid is going to be, but you also want to take a look and say, okay, is this realistic? And how can they back that up? So would you think a certificate would be helpful on that? Or what are you looking for as a listing agent when these offers come over?
As a listing agent, when that offer comes over, I'll just tell you, when I send it over, most of the time they don't know what it is as a buyer's agent. But as a listing agent, you typically call and you explain it, and I put your information in the offer. So I say, if you have any questions about the contingency, the certificate, then just talk to Ted. And that really puts our offer at the top, because they know that you're going to come through. They know that the certificate is there, and they know that the whole team will help the deal go smoothly.
Okay, and you're looking at, that's really with a realistic offer where you mentioned, say, a $950,000 offer, and say that as a listing agent that, the property is worth about that, maybe a little higher, but somebody comes in with a $1.2 million offer. Are you looking at that as being realistic and saying, unless you're buying this with cash, is that something you're going to be, considering when it comes over?
I mean, it looks great on paper. We have to make sure that we have something to back it up. And that's, as a listing agent, we do all of our due diligence to call the lenders, to call the agents to get proof of funds. If you're doing a gap coverage and you don't have an appraisal contingency, we need to see that you have cash to cover a difference. But having an appraisal contingency or appraisal certificate that's clutch.
Now, a question for you is, do you have anything that's happened recently as a listing agent when you've had multiple offers come in? What are you really looking for that you know is going to catch your eye, and something that you'll help explain to the seller that they'll decide on that offer above other ones?
I would say as a listing agent, deciding, really I default to my sellers and what they want. Like I'm really just trying to make everything smooth for them. I do guide them. But we put everything in a spreadsheet and we put all the terms. Like if they're waiving the appraisal, what about the inspection? What about their closing date? Some people have specific closing dates, so it doesn't even matter the price. They need to stay in for another 2 or 3 months. So that's really how I guide my sellers in accepting an offer.
Now, would that be important for a buyer's agent or buyers to know that they could ask you as a listing agent, what are your key factors? Like, what are you really looking for? Do you have a quick closing, or do you have a closing where you're like, we don't want to close for 4 months? Is that something? This is important information that buyers and buyer's agents should be asking you as a listing agent.
Yes, as a buyer's agent, I always call the listing agent. If I'm putting in an offer, I ask all of those questions. What is the seller's timeline? Is there a use and occupancy that's needed? Is there a specific price that would make you look like a rock star? And you got, It's just like one of those things where, you can just throw that out. And then as a listing agent, you're like, oh yeah, they told me they want this number. And if you can come to that number, you can probably get your offer accepted.
Okay, so that's just so you want to get as much information as possible as a buyer's agent doing it, and a listing agent, you know exactly what your sellers are looking for.
Correct.
Okay, I mean, we're in the height of the spring market right now. What are you looking at? Like, what do you think the market's going to be doing over the next couple of months? I know this is, you don't have a crystal ball, because if we both knew what was going to happen, we'd be sitting on the beach in the Caribbean with a little drink and with umbrellas on it.
Yeah.
But what do you think we're going to be looking at for the spring and summer market?
I can see already that the market is heating up. Like more people are coming out of the woodworks to list. I get calls all the time that I've heard this is the best time to list my house. I'm like, you are right, let's do it. So we're hoping that inventory actually increases.
We'll keep our fingers crossed on that.
And then that buyers will have more selection. You're the expert on interest rates.
Oh, well.
But yes, we're, whatever it is, I always tell the clients that you need a house. You can refinance later. It's the whole like date the rate, marry the house.
Exactly.
You find the one.
Yes.
It's not dating anymore. I think people look at buying a house as like a dating app.
Yeah.
You tell them to just make the commitment.
Yes, exactly. I mean, we're seeing more. You said you're seeing more and more people saying, "All right, it's time. I want to start listing it." But are you seeing buyers who have been sitting on the fence? So is there more competition now with buyers out there? Do you think?
As the spring market heats up, yes. I always tell my buyers, if you're looking for a house, stay active during the winter months, because you're not going to have as much competition, if any, because the looky-loos are just hanging out and waiting for the more houses to come out, and they can go all those open house hunting fun stuff.
Okay. So Sonja, an important question is, what do you have for our viewers out there buyers who've been looking for 6 months to 14 months, even longer? What would you recommend to them, or what have you seen, or what have you done that would help them persevere in this market?
What I typically do when I meet a buyer for the first time, I put them in touch with someone like you.
Oh, thank you.
No, really, they need to get all of their ducks in the row, because if we're out seeing a bunch of houses over the weekend, they need to be ready to put an offer in by Monday, Tuesday, maybe Wednesday at the latest. Like, they need to know exactly what they can afford and feel comfortable with it. And that's what I've done to help my buyers be successful. And I'm sorry, Ted, but sometimes I've contacted you on the weekends.
That's no problem.
And you've gone ahead and you've pulled through for me and gotten me everything I needed to put that offer in right away.
If you're working on the weekends, I'm working on the weekends too. But so you're saying, they've got to be ready to move quickly, because what's the average time frame that a house is going on the market and when it's going to be under contract?
A house typically comes on the market, I would say maybe a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of one week. Open houses are Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I would say by Tuesday the following week, they're calling for highest and best offers. So if it's a good house that's ready to move into, 7 days, max
Wow.
14.
So you recommend your buyers and you help them set up that they have to be able to move fast, where you're informing them that they want to make their decisions quickly, is what
Correct.
they're doing.
Yes. Okay.
Hey, how's that buyer that I met at the open house that we were able to get her into her new home?
Oh my goodness. So she was working with another mortgage person since 2024. She was hesitant to put her best foot forward to put forth an offer that would be winning. We were at an open house together. I introduced her to you, and I would say every offer we put forward was at the very top, if not, the winning offer. And then we finally came in with a winning offer because of your appraisal certificate.
Oh.
So, and we closed.
And she's in her own new home right now. Everything's going good.
Yes, she was a single woman buying a house.
Oh.
I love it.
All right. Well, Sonja, I want to thank you so much for coming here today. You are my first guest at the Bring It Home studios. If you're looking for a realtor, Sonja's fantastic. She's at eXp Realty, part of the Align team. You can see her contact information in the comments below. But Sonja, again, thank you so much for coming. And everyone, we'll see you at the closing table.
Thanks so much for having me, Ted.
All right. Bye.